Hello everyone, my name is Lorthorn and welcome to How to Minecraft Bewitchment version 1.18, also covering however 1.17 as they have not changed much between those two editions. We are covering the Java edition. This is for Fabric and I hope this video will be useful to you. To start off with, when you are doing the Bewitchment mod, the first thing you want to do is break a whole bunch of grass. Breaking grass offers you a chance of getting seeds. Now the seeds you're looking for are belladonna seeds, garlic, aconite seeds, and mandrake seeds. You want to plant these like you would plant any other plant, and then they will grow into the various different plants you wish to harvest. The first one you probably want to harvest the most will be mandrake. Mandrake will drop these little people looking things, which are the mandrake roots, and you go take a mandrake root, combine it with a book, and that will give you the Book of Shadows. The Book of Shadows is your guidebook to this whole mod. However, the Book of Shadows does not normally look like this when you first make it. Instead, the Book of Shadows will look like this. Now, the Book of Shadows unlocked progress is directly attached to your achievements, and there's a way to get every single achievement in the game so you can fully unlock the book if you wish to through cheats, which is by going /advancements, grant, your player name, everything. You do this, prepare for very loud noises for the next half hour, and then the book will be fully unlocked. You've got the plants planted, you got the Book of Shadow, now you want to go mining. You want to get yourself a lot of silver. It can be found in silver ore. Its mined looks like this raw silver you smelt down to silver ingots. You also want to get yourself some salt. Salt is another unique ore. You get salt ore. It can be placed on the ground like redstone and undead cannot cross it, as well as demons, so it's a rather useful substance, and it also has some uses in the mods, so make sure to get plenty of that. Also, you will want plenty of iron ore. This is just useful in general in Minecraft, but also useful for many of the ingredients and recipes within Bewitchment. One of the things you will find now after you get yourself all the ores, go out and find the trees. These trees can be found in different biomes. The elder sapling or elderwood tree can be found in most oak forests and poplar forests. Juniper can be found in safari biomes, so you want to go to some safaris to collect yourself some juniper trees. Cypress can be found in taiga biomes and swamps, so make sure to get yourself some cypress trees. And the Dragon's Blood sapling has to be found in a nether fortress. Speaking of nether fortress, another important part of this mod is creating a nether portal and going through the nether. It lets you get the Dragon's Blood sapling, and it also lets you get Demon Horn. Demon Horn is got by entering the nether and slaying one of these fierce beasties. They will give you the Demon Horn, and that is what they're for. You also want to find your way to another fortress, which is another kind of base game thing, but still very important to this mod, as it unlocks the Terrible Fortress achievement for you, and the Terrible Fortress achievement unlocks more of your book. Now another step to Bewitchment is you want to constantly be on the lookout for ghosts. Ghosts cannot exist in sunlight, however they do drop for you this lovely substance called ectoplasm, which is a resource you want to find. And finally you want to be on the lookout for snakes. Snakes have a poisonous bite and it makes them a little bit dangerous, but they drop snakes' tongues, yet another ingredient you'll want to collect. Now that you have all the base ingredients that you need from this mod, we can move on to the next step, which is crafting the Athema. The Athema is made with a single silver ingot and a piece of flint. You put those together, you get the Anthem. The Anthema, Anthem, whatever you may call it, can be used on trees to strip them of their bark. Bark is used in various different recipes. And it can also be used to puncture the Dragon's Blood sapling to have Dragon Blood resin pour out. You want to collect barks from all kinds of trees, so you probably want every single kind of tree collected, and you'll also want to make yourself a campfire to create wood ash. Wood ash is gotten, of course, by putting the bark around the fire like you usually would do with meat, and then it'll produce wood ash. So you want to collect yourself a supply of wood ash, a supply of bark, a supply of trees, get yourself some silver and the Anthem, and then we can get on to the next step, which involves killing sheep. You will need to get yourself a carpet, so you don't always have to murder sheep. You can go to a village. However, you will need some carpet, you will need stone, you'll need silver, and you'll need any kind of tree bark to make the altar. The altar stone is easy enough to make, but it is also the main thing you want to create, and it has one extra step you probably don't expect when it comes to crafting. The altar stone is a useless object until a carpet is put on top of it, and then it changes into a proper altar which has power. An altar's power is determined by the amount of nature about the altar. The more nature around the altar and the more variety in the nature determines how much power the altar has. You can also put special objects on the altar, such as rods, which include candles, candelabras, and end rods, blades, which include the anthem and various different swords, and you can put muses on it, which are the skulls of various different enemies, so monster heads and the likes, and these will all increase the potency of your altar. But the main thing to keep track of when you power your altar is having a large amount of trees and plants about. Once you have your altar sorted, we can move on to the next thing, which is the Witch's Cauldron. Something that no self-respecting witch or bewitcher would ever be without. Now, it requires a lot of silver ingots, a lot of iron from the cauldron, and any type of bark on top of it as well, and that will build you the cauldron. The cauldron is an entity that requires a constant source of heat. To get this constant source of heat, you can put a fire underneath it, or lava, or anything that's burning. And you can also fill the Witch's Cauldron with water. We'll get more into the Witch's Cauldron once we get through all the other core items you wish to build right now. The next core item you want to build is some chalk. Chalk is made with stone, wood ash, that's why I had you make so much, and some more bark on top. Looks like this bark's pretty important. This will give you the chalk, and the chalk draws symbols on the ground. However, it requires more stuff to be useful, but for now you can draw pretty patterns with it. After the chalk, you may want to make yourself a brazier. Now, your book will probably not tell you how to make a brazier until you've found the fortress. However, I don't care, and neither should you. Just because the book gives you instructions doesn't actually mean it has locked the crafting recipe for you. So, to make the brazier, you just get the silver, you get the nether wart and iron bars that you can make a brazier. Most braziers want to typically be placed next to your bed. Now, where do you want to situate your bed? Well, you want to situate your bed near an altar. You can give an altar unlimited power by putting a cheap block on top of it, but that's neither here nor there. Anyways, put your bed near your altar and put everything else that you're doing near the altar, including your brazier and your cauldron. Although you want your brazier near your bed, that's why you put your bed near the altar. Got it? Good. Now that you have the essential items, let's give you some non-essential items to play around with. You can make yourself a crystal orb. It doesn't require any sort of rituals anymore. In fact, most things for crafting don't require rituals anymore, and the mod has been really dumbed down to basic crafting, which I find rather disappointing. I like the mysticism it used to have, but now it feels slightly hollow and empty, a lesser shell of once it was. Oh well, that's the direction it's being taken. Anyways, crystal ball, very easy to craft, just requires some anthem, just requires some amethyst shards, silver, and glass. What's the crystal ball do? It gives you self-fulfilling prophecies. You put it near a power source, you look into it, and you find your fortune. Great fortunes awaits your pickaxe. The next thing you break with your pickaxe will probably give you double resources. Now, something you should actually create, which will be useful to you in the future, is the tag lock. The tag lock is made out of a bottle and a piece of bone, and the tag lock lets you get people's DNA so you can cast spells on them. That's right, there's DNA tracing and bewitchment. How the DNA tracing works is you either sneak up behind someone and prick them in the butt with a needle, or you sneak up to their bed or your own bed, prick it, and you'll get yourself tag lock. This gives the identity tag and links all spells and locations to the said tag lock. If you're feeling a bit edgy, you can make yourself a coffin. This is useful for vampires, they need them to sleep in. They are made with cypress wood only. Any bed in the center but requires cypress wood. A random object, but I feel like I should cover it as it has gotten far simpler, are the sigils. Sigils are crafted with dragon blood resin. Always a piece of paper in the center, always the resin around it, and then different configs of juniper bark. This particular one right here is mending. You take any sort of dragon blood sigil, and you can attach it to various different dragon's blood wooden objects. They will need altar power for them to work, but you bind the sigil to the button, and then it'll give you the effect of the sigil. This one right here gives us fortitude and regen whenever we press the button, and there's power nearby. They can be quite useful. Finally, on our list of useful things, but not necessary to the mod, but you should still build it anyways, is a protection poppet. Poppets are random little objects you can make just out of normal. They basically always require a haystack in the center. This one puts dry kelp on the bottom, iron to the left, spruce bark to the right, and vines. Then when you have your poppet, it is a useless object until you can bind it with a tag lock in a crafting table, and it'll bind that tag lock to that person. The protection poppet gives me more protection. It gives me basically armor and toughness and fortitude. Only costs you 9 extra iron ingots, and it's well worth your while to make, and you also now know how to use poppets. Okay, next on the agenda, making the various different ichors, brews, serums, whatever you want to call them. Potion brewing, these are the things that make most of the other things, the essential oils I like to call them. The essential oils are crafted through the cauldron and a little bit of magic. So you have to have a heat source underneath the cauldron, you have to have an altar powering it nearby, you have to have water inside it, just a bucket will do you fine, and then you need to put the ingredients in. So let's get into the brewing. The very first one we are going to make is earth ichor. Earth ichor is made with spruce bark. You chuck that in, you'll notice it'll change the water's color. Then you add aconite to it, that'll also change its color. Then you drop some stone in, and it'll make it go green. Then you collect it with a bottle, and you can collect up to 3 of them inside the bottle, like so. There, you've got 3 earth ichor. That's a useful crafting thing. All the other essential oils are like this. They will require at least 1 bark, 1 ingredient, cauldron, and power. And all are much the same. Heavenly extract, Ocarita, grim elixir, and cleansing balm. You want to make all of these, although you'll need more of some than others depending on what you are doing, and that is the basic brews that you need to craft everything, like the new kinds of chalks you'll be making. The new kinds of chalks are the upgraded version of the white chalk, and the white chalk is useless by itself, so you will always want to create, even if you can't afford the others, the golden chalk. Golden chalk is made through cleansing balm and earth ichor, and doesn't require anything special besides putting into a crafting table, which is kind of sad because I did like the old days of having to throw a piece of white chalk into a potion of honey and various other messy stuff. Each type of chalk besides normal white chalk requires chalk to craft it. The red chalk, which is the fire chalk, requires fire sermon and heavenly abstract, and the purple chalk, which is called eldritch chalk, requires grim abstract and ocarita. And now you've used every single type of essential oil, the Bewitchment brews, to make these chalks, so you actually do need to make every single one of them to get yourself the chalk. The ritual circle, now what is this? What is this random thing? Well, this lets you do bewitchment magic. I have a whole video on all the different rituals, although they change over time as they update them, get rid of some and make new ones, but we're just going to give you a basic covering. To make the ritual circle, you want to put the golden chalk in the center, then count out 1, 2, then on the third one you put the white chalk and you make a circle following the basic circle pattern of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then fill in the lines as you go in between them. And then you have a fully blown ritual circle which will let you cast rituals. However, some rituals have requirements of different colors of chalks, but you can just cover over them to create the new circle. You always require a power source nearby your circle, and if you do not have sufficient power, then the ritual will not happen, so it's best to put one of these into a force as well. Let's cover some rituals you can do quickly so you get the idea. This next ritual we are going to do requires fiery chalk around the outside, so we'll do that, and this will make a red ring. Now, because we have infinite power, we don't have to worry about that, although if you do not have infinite power, then you will have your own worries. To do the ritual, you take the ingredients that the book will say you need. Right here on the old Book of Shadows, when you click on rituals, it'll tell you all the different rituals you can do. Anyways, you take those ingredients, you throw them into the center of the circle, and then you tap the L circle. It will then cause the ritual to happen. This is the ritual of Smite, and it'll call down a lightning bolt on its central location. Smite also lets you call down a lightning bolt on other locations using waystones. Waystones are crafted with an ender pearl and stone around the side. They let you store a location. We're going to get the location right here, stored in the ender pearl. We tap the circle after we've initiated with the waystone. It will call down the lightning bolt on new location. It'll also call down other rituals on the locations when you tap the waystone to bind to the new location. Perhaps a more useful ritual for you though is one that only requires the white circle in the center, barely any power in your altar, and it is just 1 gold, 1 cleansing balm, and when you cast this ritual, it'll turn night to day. Bam! There we go, it is now the new dawn. Now, you probably want yourself a pet as you are a witch. You can get yourself a cat for a pet, you can get yourself a snake for a pet, you can get an owl, you can get a raven, you can get a toad. All these different creatures have different ways of taming them. We're going to use the raven for now, and the raven requires gold. You give him gold nuggies, and he loves you. Now take your raven companion, because he's just a normal raven right now, doesn't do anything special, and have him come along with you. Get out a tag lock. And tag lock the sucker. Now the tag lock the sucker is a little bit of a difficult process. They haven't made it easier at all yet. So what you want to do is, usually pets stare at you, so you have to sneak up behind your pet and punch them in the back. Then you get your raven's tag lock. You could give him a name if you want, but this tag lock's all you need. Then you want to take red circle and put it in the center. This is how you get yourself a familiar bound to you. This is a ritual of binding. Basically, you know everything you need to know after the tag lock thing, but we'll go through it anyways. And then you grab yourself a demon heart. Oh wait, how do you get a demon heart? Well, we'll get to that, but right now just grab yourself a demon heart. If you don't have one, you can do this ritual later. Finally, mandrake root and ectoplasm from killing that ghost. Throw them all into the circle. Start the ritual of binding and it'll make you a familiar. You can only have one familiar at a time. These familiars are got by the ritual of binding, and there's everything you need to know about Sid's familiars within the ritual of binding. And also when you click on creatures, it'll tell you everything you need to know about creatures, such as wolves and dogs, and how they help you with your rituals. Oh yes, you can also have a dog as a familiar if you want. We do not discriminate here against cats and dogs. Alright, we've done rituals, now let's get into the more technical kinds of brews. A cauldron allows you to do some special things. You can make brews, you can make witches' brews, and you can teleport with it, as well as get rid of evidence that the police may have on you. To teleport with it, you want to take an ender pearl and throw it into the cauldron. It makes it all purpley like this. You need to have another cauldron that is named, and then you jump into the cauldron. Simply put that cauldron's name into the chat while it's standing in the teleporting cauldron, and it'll teleport you there. Put another bit into the other cauldron, say your old cauldron's name, and I'll bring you to that cauldron based on their name. They can be named with name tags, like everything else in the game that has name tags applied to them. To clear out a cauldron from this green goop, simply throw in some wood ash. Then collect up a source of water, put it in, bam, bing, boom, Bob's your uncle. The other things in brews you can do. Well, all basic brews that are not the oils or putting the ender pearl in require special stuff put in them. This special thing in particular is a mandrake root. You want to put the mandrake root in first. This will start it bubbling all crazy like. Then you put in the secondary ingredient, and then this makes the brew complete. Then you can collect it, and you have witch's brew of regen when you use the juniper bark. It can take up to 3 out of it. This is a basic brew. Now the witch's brew also require mandrake root to start with. Makes it all bubbly. Then you add an ender pearl, and you can get yourself a brew of disjuncting. Take that out, you get the witch's brew of disjunctment, you sip that, and it'll randomly teleport you. You will know you will have failed a brew when it goes all brown and icky like this. Now if you want to make brews more potent, you add redstone or glowstone. It actually covers all of it within this book. And if you want to make them splash potions or lingering potions, then you do have to add them to a normal brewing stand. You can have more than one effect in a cauldron at a time though, depending on the limits of your altar power. So if I add the juniper bark to this and the disjunct to it, then I can make witch's brew of regening disjunction, so it'll randomly teleport me and give me regeneration. That is what you can do with a cauldron. Now, next after the cauldrons are random things you can craft, such as these brambles. These can be made just with sugar cane, heavenly abstract, and phantom membrane, and there's a whole bunch of items in Bewitchment which are just crafted now. Like the juniper bark requiring that demon's heart, which you should just get, silver arrows made out of silver, the candelabra, the hellish bauble, and the tokens. You just craft these now. There's nothing special to them besides the Bewitchment ingredients, which is highly disappointing in my opinion. But that does not matter in this how-to. The fleeting bramble does have a fun effect to it, and this is why I want to point out, because it is new though. It lets you yeet yourself into orbit. The more brambles you have, the more they yeet you, as it's a stacking effect. I want you to consider the possibilities of this. Next, after that, you want to make yourself some besmirched wool. Why besmirched wool? Because it looks cool, and it is very simple to make. It just requires normal wool, fiery sermon, and grim abstract, both very easy to get, and it lets you get yourself a full set of besmirched clothing. Besmirched clothing lets you communicate with demons. Demons, you say. How do we summon demons? Well, let's get into demon summoning, as that's a rather important step I skipped. A demon is a rather complicated summon that will require you to have a lot of power to create. The demon requires more steps than most people understand or comprehend. To start with, you need diamonds. You also need a snake's tongue. You need that horn you found. You will need the special flower here, this special flower here. You'll also need one of these silver knives, and you'll need a villager. So when summoning a demon, you want to construct your demon summoning circle as such, with salt within the inner ring or outer ring, that does not matter, but you also wish to have fiery rings around it and no space for escape. That is because you need to murder the villager within the circle. Add the ingredients like you would normally, but the ritual will not happen. You need a proper sacrifice. The proper sacrifice is the villager. He has to be killed with a silver knife, well within the limits of the circle. Once he dies, he'll start summoning the demon, and the demon will appear to you. Right here we got this lovely fellow. Now demons cannot cross salt, but they will usually be aggressive to you. Unless you're wearing the besmirched robes, then they're totally chill with you. If they are totally chill with you, then you can trade with them. Demons will give you demon contracts. Contracts cost you maximum hearts. In exchange, you will get the pact they just gave you. Each pact does a different thing. Each demon has a limited amount, and you can find which each pact does within the book, letting you know all the various different fun things they do to you. We are currently affected by Sloth. Sloth gives us the ability to regen faster when we hold still. Is it a good trade? Probably not. When you want to kill your demon, take an Anthema and start shanking him. Demons will be tough, but you can easily beat them if you prepare for it right. They are tough customers, so do prepare fire resistance and keep a distance away from them. Also, get yourself Smite on your Anthem. Smite pierces a lot of the demon's natural resistances and will help you murder him better. Another thing I'd recommend getting on your Anthem, especially when you want to murder the demon, is looting. This means the demon will drop more stuff for you, like hearts and horns. And that is how you get the demon hearts, by murdering the sucker. Look at that, 4 horns for that. And the Smite makes it deal more damage. Or it could deal even more damage if we wanted to. Smite 4 on Anthem is a very good thing to have, and it lets you do all sorts of fun stuff. But now that you have the demon hearts, you can do all sorts of demonic things like curses or not. And the curses or not are done with altars. Remember these things, the brazier. Alright, so what's the brazier do? Well, the basic brazier, when you're not being evil, lets you get good night's sleeps by adding various different special components to it, such as wood ash, cleansing balm, and ectoplasm, then lighting on fire. It gives you special effects when you go to sleep. So we take ourselves a rest. It comes the morning, and now we have night vision for 20 minutes that this brazier is granting us from it burning next to our bed. We can see under the water. Isn't that cool? The brazier's other effect is, of course, cursing people. To curse someone, you will need a tag lock of them. This tag lock here is a tag lock of myself. You add that to the brazier, as well as the other ingredients. And then you light on fire, and that will curse the person as long as there is a sufficient power source nearby to power the curse. My source of magic apparently wasn't strong enough. I really have no idea why it didn't work here, so I'm going to mask myself with console commands, so let's get on to that. By going /curse, add, Lorthorn, Bewitchment, Lightning Rod. We've cursed ourselves with Lightning Rod. Then, if it's a thunderstorm, this curse should ensure that we get struck by lightning, making a rare occurrence extremely common. Finally, what we have left for you is summoning greater demons and how to become a vampire and or werewolf. Now you actually can't become an and or werewolf without an additional mod called Bewitchment, and that mod hasn't really changed, and I've covered it before. To summon the greater demons is a bit of more of an extra step. Usually to summon a greater demon, you will want a box like this one here I've constructed, and you need location, location, location. Now some greater demons require to be summoned in a magic circle, and those are normal demon summonings. They're very easy to find. These are demons such as Leonard and Basilmonth, which each have their own unique requiring summoning thing for them. However, there are some demons that have more specialized things, like Heron and Lilith. These require certain and specific locations to be summoned in, also times of day or night. Now all greater demons require it to be nighttime. Luckily with magic you can control if it's night or day, and this doesn't require cheat commands. Lilith needs to be summoned on a mountainside. Lilith needs to be summoned on a mountain or icy biome. Anyways, once you have located yourself a mountain, the next thing you want to do is most likely build some sort of prison for her so she can't escape. Probably something that is immune to explosions. Then you want a brazier, and you want to do the mortal coil brazier inside of it, which requires a demon heart, a piece of garlic, mandrake root, and cotium. Put these into the brazier, light it on fire, and murder a chicken next to where their brazier is. This will summon Lilith for you. As you can see, this is why I said you should build an indestructible prison for her, as she acts a lot like the Wither in being a psychopathic murderer who wants to destroy everything. She can be contained by salt, although you want to put a roof over her so she cannot escape, and you do want to beware her vampire servants. Now you do this whether or not you want to kill her. Now if you want to kill her though, you definitely need to put her in a prison she can't escape. In fact, you want to go beyond that, and make sure that there is no space. In fact, you go and you take salt and you line it on all surfaces that something could potentially stand on. This is to prevent the vampires from getting you, like so. This is step 1. Next, you want to make yourself the strongest, toughest armor you can get. After that, you want to bind a poppet of judgment to yourself. Judgment means that demons and evil entities deal way less damage to you. Bind together like all other things. Then enchant a dagger with Smite 5, if you can manage that. Get yourself Bruise of Strength, Omega Powerful Armor. Then you can spawn Lilith into your prison. Make sure you can actually reach her. And that's night. Basically set the arena as perfectly as you can for yourself, so she can't get out and the situation is completely under your control. Then buff yourself and go after her feet. This way she can't hit you with her projectiles. You may want to make sure you actually have full distance to her. Remember, if you're in creative mode, she heals to full. But anyways, basically set it up so none of her allies can get to you. Her explosions can't hit you. And then you attack her feet. And that's how you kill Lilith. Can't be in creative mode, can't be daytime. Boom, there you go. And she'll drop her shoes to you. Or you, although I think she just blew up her own pair of shoes, which is something you have to be aware of and careful of. And that's how you kill Lilith and basically any greater demon, as you summon them into a prison completely of your own control. And then you put salt everywhere so they can't summon allies to attack you. And yeah, boom. Demon solved. Okay, you can pledge yourself to greater demons, as I said, by eating grotesque stew, having besmirched robes in front of yourself. Now, how do you become a vampire or werewolf? Well, I've covered this multiple times before, but I will cover how to become a vampire one last time. You want to curse yourself with a very specific curse, and that is the curse of susceptibility. It requires a demon heart, mandrake root, and belladonna. If you want to do it through creative mode, like I'm about to do, or cheats, I should rather say, you go curse, add your own name, bewitchment, susceptibility, and you hit enter. Now you are susceptible to all the plights of the world. Then you either want a death poppet of death protection, which looks like this, and is crafted with a demon heart and a ghast tier, and has to be bound to you, or you can get yourself a totem of undying. Get yourself the totem of undying, get yourself susceptibility, then find yourself a vampire or a werewolf. If you want to become a werewolf, find yourself a werewolf. If you want to become a vampire, find yourself a vampire. They can be found in their own locations. It is described within the Book of Shadows, where you can find them. The werewolf is found in human forms most of the time, but they are on icy biomes or taiga biomes, realms and forests during the full moon. The vampire is a master of undeath and the such, and he is found on plains and taiga biomes on new moons. Anyways, have your susceptibility, have your totem of undying, then cheese him off. He's going to murder you over time. Your puppet of judgment is going to protect you, so throw that away. Then bam, he hits you, and you are no longer susceptible, and because the vampire killed you, even though you just died there, you are now a vampire. You have these little blood tokens down there. You're now a master of the night and undead, and you can now suck villagers' bloods. And if you happen to bind yourself to Lilith, you can turn yourself into a bat. And to bind yourself to Lilith, we go before her, wearing besmirched robes, and while we have her attention, we eat grotesque stew. This will make us all sick. And now We have the power to turn into a bat when in her presence. If we no longer wish to be a vampire, then we summon a relevant greater demon of our kind. And we give them an object. The vampire, we give garlic. The werewolf, we give silver. That would be Lorthorn. We are no longer a vampire. That's how we purge it, and that is how you do bewitchment. That is every single step. Oh yeah, and I suppose there are brooms. Brooms are crafted now. They don't have any, I don't know, special ritual to make them fly. Again, rather disappointing in my opinion. Anyways, you put the broom down, you right click on it. Well, you have power, which you've got by your altar. You press forward, and it goes forwards. You hold space, it does nothing. You press shift, you fall off. Anyways, you look in the direction you want to go, and it'll fly you in that direction while you hold forwards. And that is basically everything you need to know about bewitchment. If you want something more in-depth, then you can go check out the other videos. But this is the most up-to-date one. Bewitchment is relatively simple. That should be everything you need to know. It used to be a lot more complicated, but they kept dumbing it down over and over again until it's such a ridiculously easy mod. I don't know if I even need to make how-to guides for it anymore because of how ridiculously simple this mod has become. Anyways, I hope you found that educational if you needed it. Many people did request this how-to. I am kind of done making bewitchment how-tos, I think, unless the mod vastly changes in the future. But as for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time in the next video. So until then, goodbye.